All right, guys, we got a lot to talk about here today about Dior Privee fragrances. Most importantly, the launch of BOIS TALISMAN that's coming next year. And with the launch of BOIS TALISMAN, we are getting size differences on the bottles. So 250 ml bottles will no longer exist. They'll be made into 200 ml bottles, and then the 125 ml bottles will no longer exist. They'll be made into 100 ml bottles, and I believe they're keeping the price the same. In fact, we might actually see price increases next year as well. But I'm going to break this all down to you for you today, and also talk to you a little bit about the Esprit De Parfum fragrances, most importantly Rouge Trafalgar, which I bought last August, and I just got back from New York City where I bought Gris Dior. And don't forget to stick around until after the outro. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about DHP 2024 as well. Thanks so much for tuning in. It's Sebastian, and yes, there are bottle changes coming around the corner. So if you are a fan of Dior Privee fragrances, it's time for you to buy your bottles now, because in the future they're going to cost the same for less juice. Now, I've always talked about how Dior Privee prices and also bottle sizes are the best out of all of the designers Privee collections, less exclusives, private blend, and all that kind of stuff. I think you were getting the best price or in the most quantity of juice, but this is happening next year and at the start of 2025 with the launch of the latest fragrance from Dior Privee called BOIS TALISMAN. So also with the launch of BOIS TALISMAN, they are discontinuing SANTAL Noir. Now, I've spoken about SANTAL Noir quite a bit on the channel. So it's a fragrance that was exclusively launched for the Middle East, but Harrods in the UK was selling. In fact, I bought my first bottle at Heathrow Airport there back in early 2019, I think. Yeah, early 2019, like January 2019. Then it kind of sort of made an appearance here in the States. It was also removed again. You couldn't really buy it in Paris, where the brand's based out of, obviously. And then I saw it there around 2022. Finally, it made its way back here again, and now it's being shelved, and it's going to be replaced by BOIS TALISMAN. So let's go ahead and go over the prices first, and then I'll break that down, and then we'll talk about BOIS TALISMAN, a little bit about SANTAL Noir, and also the Esprit De Parfum fragrances. And then don't forget to stick around until after the outro, and I've got some news on the new DIOR HOMME PARFUM 2024. So 250 ml bottles will now be 200 ml, and this is something that I think maybe the brands are feeling, or especially LVMH is feeling like they're getting too much juice for the price. And of course, they've launched Celine fragrances under LVMH. Their larger size is 200 ml, and probably they felt like, let's make them all the same size and the same prices, kind of a thing. So Chanel's had 200 ml bottles for the longest time, and they changed their concentration from eau de toilette to eau de parfum, and I believe that jacked up the price as well. And right now, I think the most expensive is Tom Ford Private Blend. They still have their 250 ml bottles, not a sprayable bottle, it's a decanter bottle. But I thought always that the Dior Privee was the best value. You get more juice for the least amount of price, but those prices have gone way up as well. So currently 250 ml bottles are selling for $450, and with tax it's almost $500. This is the tax rate here in California, so it's basically around $490, so almost $500. So that per ml price makes it $196. In the future, when they switch to 200 ml bottles, you're going to pay $245 per ml. So that's like increasing 50 cents per ml price. So this is happening next year. And again, if you are a fan of Dior Privee, get your bottles now before the new year. Or I don't know when exactly this is happening. It's happening in the new year. And I was told by the launch of BOIS TALISMAN, the new fragrance that's coming in the Dior Privee collection. So what's going to happen with the 250 ml bottles? From what I know, LVMH likes to destroy old items so they don't end up at discounters, cheapening the value or the price of their products. This is something I also heard in France once. I asked a sales associate what they're going to do with older bottles of a Maison Francis Kurkdjian fragrance, and they said they're going to destroy them. So this is something I heard from an associate. not from the brand or the corporation themselves. So is that what's going to happen with these fragrances, all of the 250 mLs, or will they end up at the discounters, or are the retailers that are selling these fragrances going to first sell the 250 ml bottles and then get the 200 ml bottles? So I don't know how this is all going to be laid out for us to experience, but I feel like it could happen fast. Sometimes when brands just don't want to deal with the larger size, since they are changing the price, they are changing the bottle size with BOIS Talisman, they might just take all the old inventory and drop off new inventory. So again, my thing is, if you are in the market for these fragrances, I think right now it's the best value for the price, because it's going to increase 50 cents per mil once they launch the BOIS Talisman. So the other size bottle they have is 125 ml. That currently sells for $330. It's going to go down to 100 ml, and with the tax on the 125 ml, it's $359, so almost $360. And for me, it's a better value to get the larger size. I usually always do that, but I've been buying smaller bottles lately because there's a lot of perfume here. I can't wear it all. But I still like the larger bottles because they also look better. These bottles look better. So I don't know how it's going to be with the new bottles. We'll see. We'll have to see, because I haven't seen the bottle. I think it's the same kind of bottle, just a smaller size in general. So the 125 ml per mil price is $287. 100 ml per mil price is going to be $359. And I'm figuring these rates out with their original price. If the price is going to go up as well, which I'm 100% uncertain on that, because I was told that it's just the bottle size change, not a price increase, which I'm assuming we're going to get price increases in 2025 with all the stuff that's going on, which I'm not going to get into. But I think it's just getting a bottle change, not a price increase. But if there is a price increase, these prices are not going to be the same. But these are factoring in the current prices with smaller bottles. So 125 ml per mil price is $287. 100 ml, it's $359. So it's a lot more, and you get less juice. From what I was told, there is a 40 ml bottle of these fragrances as well that is not getting a change. I'm not 100% certain on that one, so I don't know. But hopefully that's going to stay the same, because those are already small bottles. Are they going to change them into 30 ml? They can't really do that. So it's a 40 ml bottle. They're smaller sizes, and I think that's staying the same. Same thing with the Esprit De Parfum bottles, which I wrote down. They're currently 82 ml size, and I think they're staying the same, because they just launched these fragrances, by the way. They're much smaller, as you can see. But yeah, just reporting to you guys that these changes are coming very, very soon from Dior. Be prepared. It could happen just instantly right away, and we're kind of screwed. So if you have some extra cash and you have a favorite fragrance from Dior, get your bottles now. My favorite currently in the original collection is Vanilla Diorama. I'll have to see if I want to pick up another. But yeah, that change is coming up. So let's talk a little bit about BOIS Talisman and a little bit about SANTAL Noir. So BOIS Talisman is the latest Dior Privee fragrance created by Francis Kurkdjian, who is now the in-house perfumer creative director at Dior Fragrances. And I would call this a woody amber or amber woody fragrance, and it features notes of cedar, vanilla, sugar, smoke, or smoky cedarwood. So if they say smoky cedarwood or smoke and cedar, I guess it's going to be a woody experience with a smokiness plus the vanilla and the sugar. So it seems like it's going to be another Gourmand style fragrance. Again, it's a woody amber or amber woody fragrance, and eventually this is going to be amber, vanillic, sweet, smoky, and woody. So these are the kind of styles. I haven't really smelled it yet, obviously, so I can't really, speak about the fragrance. This is all the information I've pulled from the internet. I don't know when this is dropping, but it usually drops a little before, because the experience I remember with Rouge Trafalgar, we got it in late December 2019, but it's credited as a 2020 fragrance. I think that's what happened. And I remember I picked up my bottle of the original Rouge Trafalgar, not the Esprit De Parfum, but in the original Privee bottle, late 2019 here from Neiman Marcus. And then everybody was talking about it later. I'm looking forward to BOIS TALISMAN. Is it going to replace Vanilla Diorama? I'm uncertain. I really love Vanilla Diorama, but I feel like some people think it's a bit on the sweet side. It's a bit sugary sweet, but I like the way that fragrance wears. So this one most likely will be a bit more masculine with the smoke note and the woody notes that are here, you know, contrasted with the sugary and vanillic notes that are in here. So I like the idea of this. And of course, vanilla gourmand fragrances are very popular nowadays. It's a given this is the next Dior Privee fragrance. And I have a feeling this will be popular, but obviously with the bottle change, less juice for the same price or even more, that's going to make a lot of people unhappy. What are your thoughts about this scenario happening? And let me tell you a little bit about SANTAL Noir. SANTAL Noir was created by François Demachet. So if you watch my videos about this fragrance, I've mentioned in there that to me it reminds me of Chanel Egoiste. So François Demachet worked on Chanel's Egoiste with Jacques Polge. Yeah, Jacques Polge was a perfumer there. I think they collaborated on that fragrance. And so is this his way of creating something similar? I don't know if you guys ever compared this to Egoiste. It reminds me of it. And I think because it's sandalwood and Egoiste has sandalwood, there's rose here and Egoiste has rose. And then of course this also has ambrette seeds. So it creates a bit of booziness, adds a bit of fruitiness against the sandalwood and the rose. So it reminds me of it. And maybe this was just not a very popular fragrance. That's why it's being axed. But I remember everybody was trying to get a bottle when this was an exclusive fragrance for the Middle East. And I don't know why this launched as an exclusive fragrance for the Middle East, because of course in London at Harrods I was able to buy it, although I didn't buy it from Harrods, I bought it from the airport, Heathrow. It's a favorite of mine. It is a bit on the classic side because it does hint at Egoiste, but I think it's nicely done. I feel like it has also gotten a bit thinner. I bought this probably 4 months ago. I ordered it from the Saks Fifth Avenue, where I have a sales rep there that I ordered fragrances from, because I wanted to have it in my collection. The first bottle I had was emptied out, and I hadn't bought another one until I kind of heard it was kind of being phased out because BOIS Talisman was coming. And I've known about BOIS Talisman for about 4 months. So finally it's going to make an appearance soon. And that is the reason why I bought this bottle. So if you are looking for a bottle, hunt one down because this is going away and it's being replaced by BOIS Talisman. Again, it's a bit on the classic side. But if you like that whole Egoiste DNA, you might dig this one. I feel like it's a beefier take on the original Egoiste from Chanel. It's just a bit more substantial, it's a bit more hefty, and everything seems, like new rather than you can tell a fragrance has gotten watered down and reformulated. And even though this does seem a little lighter than the original when it came out in 2018, I believe is when it launched, I feel like it's still pretty substantial compared to Egoiste, although it is more expensive. Here, this does smell a lot more like Egoiste, but like I said, much more vibrant, much more fuller, not something that's gone through multiple reformulations, so it's not thinned out kind of experience. Yeah, so this was a favorite of mine. I'm glad I have this bottle. I'll put it to use here and there, little by little, because I like the smell. It does take me back to when I first got a bottle of Egoiste, way back in 1990. Before Egoiste came out, I think it was also known as BOIS Noir. I think they changed the name and they retitled it or renamed it Egoiste. But let's talk a little bit about the Esprit De Parfum fragrances, brand new Gris Dior and Rouge Trafalgar from back in August when I was at Harrods. It was selling there, so I bought it from there. So the Esprit De Parfum fragrances launched in August, just when I was traveling to Europe for 54. I was in Harrods for 54 for an all-day event for that fragrance, a panel, and all that good stuff. And the Esprit De Parfum fragrances were just set out at Harrods from what I heard. And so after sampling all of the fragrances, I instantly fell in love with Rouge Trafalgar. Rouge Trafalgar was a great fragrance, but it is so light, it doesn't last. So you have to wear it in the heat, extreme heat, to make that thing go a little extra mile, because it's completely a thin fragrance. But with the Esprit de Parfum, I think they've done a great job with it. And from what I hear from a few sales associates I've spoken to, this is the biggest seller in the entire collection of Esprit de Parfum fragrances. And I guess I went with the one that I really enjoy. I really love the way it wears. It's quite fruity, but also jammy. There's a thickness about it, so when you wear it, it actually experience the thick, almost like a fruit syrup or fruit jam, but thinner than like the thick jam, more like something in between a fruit syrup and fruit jam experience. But if you haven't gotten your nose on this one, do. I think it's similar to the original, but a little different as well. The other thing is, for me, this also gives me a bit of a fruity sheeper vibe. But I think it's the cherry that is intensified. Well, actually, it's no cherry note. Apparently, it creates a cherry accord from what I've read in the info on the Dior website. But it's overdosed with a lot of rose. There's Bulgarian and Turkish rose. And there's fruity gourmand notes. There's pink pepper. And then, of course, it's creating a cherry accord. But I think I'm also getting patchouli here because I feel like it's in the base. I'm pretty sensitive to it. And that's why I feel like it's a fruity sheeper style. But I absolutely love it. The jamminess is just perfect. The only negative is it's quite expensive. So I paid the UK prices for the first one, and with the new one, the Gris Dior Esprit de Parfum, I paid the US prices, which is really, really pricey. But I really love Rouge Trafalgar. It's my favorite of the collection. And the second favorite, obviously, is Gris Dior. Let me know if you've sampled these. What are your thoughts? How much longevity do you get with these fragrances? The Gris Dior, I feel like they've intensified the original, and I feel like Gris Dior is stronger than Rouge Trafalgar in the original Dior Privee. Here, it is definitely a lot more intense. It's much more woody, it's ambery, and the rose is prominent, and of course the patchouli is intensified as well. Let's go ahead and quickly smell. Let me also ask you guys, do you want me to do a video on the whole entire collection? If you want a video, let me know. I'd have to try and get samples of the rest. I'm not sure if I'm buying any more of these. To me, it doesn't seem as much changed. Although, when I think about Rouge Trafalgar, the thickness that I experienced with the Esprit de Parfum in comparison to the original, that gives it a bit of a change. And I think it's still happening here as well. There are some of the fragrances in this series that seem changed a lot. But I really love the DNA of Gris Dior. It's a great rosy sheeper fragrance. And it's definitely intensified here with this as well. I think these are the two favorites so far. But I'm kind of curious about Ombre Nuit. How is that to you guys? The Esprit de Parfum. I tested it out when I was testing the Gris Dior to pick it up at Saks in New York City. And I felt like it was not bad. But it was on a strip. It wasn't on skin. But for me, these two are definitely my favorites. Rouge Trafalgar Esprit de Parfum and Gris Dior Esprit de Parfum. But let me know your thoughts on this collection. Maybe you're thinking it's overpriced. But have you tested it out on skin? Do you like the way they perform? Let me know. Put a comment down below. That's pretty much it, guys. That's all I have to say about this series of fragrances, the launch of BOIS Talisman, and of course the bottle changes for the Dior Privee collection. Most importantly, the 250 ml bottles will now become 200 ml, so a smaller bottle. And then the 125 ml bottle will become 100 ml, keeping the same prices or increasing as well. I'm not 100% sure if the price will increase at the same time the bottle sizes will change, but I have this strange feeling next year we're going to get a lot of increase in prices. Not only Dior, but a lot of other brands are going to increase prices. But that's another story for another day. And I'm anticipating BOIS Talisman. I can't wait to get my nose on it. And as soon as I do, I will report back. But either way, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook. And I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye. And last but not least, I wanted to leave this to the end here so you guys can stick around. Dior Homme Parfum 2024 is coming. And from what I hear, it is an iris bomb. This is from word of mouth. So it's not going to be a DHP of the 2020 Dior Homme, which is spicy, freshy. So it's more like Cedar, ISO E Super, I think there's pink pepper or peppery notes in there, and there's some fresh citruses in there. So it's not going to be a DHP of that. It's going to be a new version of the original DHP. First launched in 2014, my favorite, then launched in 2020. People say there's no differences. The formula is the same. I kind of feel some differences there. And now we've got a 2024 version of that 2020 version of DHP, Dior Homme Parfum. And get this, I heard that it's getting a launch in the USA. So we don't have to hunt it down anymore. It's getting a launch in the USA. I don't know how true this is. This is, once again, word of mouth. But I'm quite excited. So it's Francis Kurkdjian behind the redo of Dior Homme Parfum, the 3rd edition of Dior Homme Parfum. I can't wait to get my nose on this one as well. I think I'm more excited for Dior Homme Parfum 2024 than BOIS TALISMAN, but I want to get my nose on all of them. But I'm really super excited that it's getting a USA release. If this is true, I can't wait to get my nose on it, put my nose on it, and report back to you guys. Dior Homme Parfum, the original, either in 2014 edition or 2020, is my favorite designer fragrance. It's been since 2014. Still, no other fragrances have surpassed it. Some have come really close, but for me, Dior Homme Parfum is the best, and I'm dying to get my nose on the 2024 version. And I've heard from people that have smelled it. They say it's an iris bomb. Anyway, I appreciate you tuning in and sticking around for the bonus info. We'll speak to you guys later. Bye-bye.